What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Play by Play with Jay. I'm your host, Jordan, aka Jay. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode 9. So this week's episode is going to be a bit interesting, at least from my perspective, only because I don't think there's ever been an episode where I've ever only talked about one topic, right? I've usually always it could have been the same subject, but I've gone from A to B to C to D, you know what I mean? I've never just talked about one topic, and I don't know, this subject in particular, it just kind of stuck out to me. I saw something on social media, earlier this week, and I was just like, oh, there's this week's episode. So I think when we're talking about legacy, when we're talking about greatness, how do we truly define someone who's actually the greatest to ever do it? Is it solely based on their sport, how they contribute to the game? Did they change their game, whether that be the actual playing of the game? Did they change the marketing, the social media, the industry? Did something change once this player came and started playing their game? There's a lot of factors that I think people put into someone's legacy, their greatness, who makes them the GOAT, whatever. I mean, I've had countless arguments with people about, LeBron versus Jordan, et cetera, et cetera. People say, is Serena Williams the best tennis player to ever play the game? Michael Phelps, is he the best swimmer? I could keep going for, different athletes, different sports, right? Tiger Woods, et cetera. I had a GOAT of GOATs episode actually last season with some friends, but this is a little bit different. This is for athletes who say that they're chasing greatness and that their family is going to suffer because of it. Now, this is coming from someone who was raised to be a family-oriented person, and also nobody in my family, at least my immediate family. I mean, I do have my uncle, shout out to Uncle Fred, but even when I was, growing up, he wasn't in the league. I didn't benefit, I didn't have, and his distance, he lives hours away from me. It wasn't there's anybody in my direct, immediate contact line of family who's who played a professional sport. So I wouldn't know what this is like, but everything in life, we have choices, right? We make a choice to do everything. We make a choice to eat certain things in the morning. We make a choice to put on certain clothes. Every single thing that we do, every action, we make a choice to brush our teeth, right? We don't have to do that. It's what we choose to do, right? And so when these athletes, they get up here and they say, oh, I'm chasing greatness in my field or my profession, but my family is going to suffer. This is coming strictly from, and this is I'm surprised that I'm just not hearing about it, but it's an old clip from a UFC boxer named from London named Darren Till. Again, this was years ago, August 2018 at this point. So again, old clip, but it's very relevant to what I'm talking about today.
I just got a new contract and it was a great contract, but I looked at it, I said, yeah, that's nice, signed it, and then that was it. I'm working on legacy and greatness, so I trust my team 100%. I trust my coach, Colin Heron, 100%. So as long as I do all that work, legacy and greatness, all money will be there. So I don't worry about it. You can't have worries outside of this game. I've got a girlfriend who's 7 months pregnant. I don't really care. I've got a daughter in Brazil right now who I haven't seen for 1 year. I don't really care. I just care about legacy and greatness. That's what.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. First of all, here's the reason why. I mean, if you're watching me, you probably saw me kind of chuckle a little bit when he said, started talking about his girlfriend, because I mean, let's be frank, ain't nobody asked him about that. He offered up that information. Nobody said, hey, Darren Till, we heard that you have a girlfriend, 7 months pregnant, and how do you feel? No, he was just in a tangent about, his legacy and his greatness and how nothing else on the outside matters. All right, bro, let's be clear. You chose to get said girlfriend 7 months pregnant. You made that choice. The daughter that you have in Brazil that you don't talk to, you haven't, well, at that point, it was, haven't talked to in over a year. Who knows how long it's been, since then. But personal choices. You chose to have that daughter. You chose not to be in her life because you're chasing legacy and greatness. First of all, this is me. I personally don't see how you can consider yourself great at something or great, but your family isn't in order. Like, if you're choosing to go out here and to actually have a family, to you know, start new life, create a legacy in other ways. There's other ways to create a legacy by just you yourself, right? You create a legacy by having children and, you know, instilling values and morals into them, and they pass that on to them. That's what a legacy is. But I don't know. I just don't know what this obsession is with chasing the legacy, chasing the greatness in my sport. I can only do that. That's the only way that I'm great. I'm gonna just have kids or have a wife or have a girlfriend and just neglect them because I just have to be great at my sport. To me, you're not great. To me, you're still average, right? Because you can't balance. If you can't be the greatest that you want to be and be the greatest family person because you chose to go that route, like I said, you have choices. You didn't have to go that route. You could be single, living La Vida Loca, not have literally no ties, have no responsibilities, have nothing to worry about but your sport. But you chose to, you know, okay. And now here we are. It's a couple other examples that I have. You know, you got Shannon Sharp. He's one. And he openly said, you know, I was trying to be the greatest tight end to ever play football, and my children suffered because of it. And I think now he like is building bonds with his kids. At least he doesn't really post too much about it, but like from the stuff that he does post about it. But when he does his interviews on Club Shay Shay or talk about it on Undisputed, he's open and honest about that. Dennis Rodman, I don't even know if he's in his children's lives now, but I know that when his 30 for 30 came out, it was talked about in there heavily like, hey, our dad would be all on TV playing basketball, doing this, acting crazy, but like would not come to our soccer games, or like would not be around, or like would just be in and out of our lives consistently type of thing. But Dennis Rodman was that guy in the league, right? I'm trying to think who else. Kobe Bryant, which is a bad example, but he was open and honest about it too, which is why you saw as soon as he retired, all he was doing was spending time with his daughters, because he didn't do that really during his career. And he was saying, you know, he was missing this, he was missing that because of the grind. How do we, I don't know. How do we measure greatness? And I'm not just using this as a platform to say LeBron's the great, because you don't know what someone like does totally behind closed doors, right? Like, you have no idea. But I don't know. It's just an interesting concept to see some of these athletes, you know, really parade around here saying that, hey, like, you know, I'm the greatest, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm chasing legacy and greatness. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. And there's the thing too, and it's interesting because like even when Tom Brady, when he unretired, I think he, you know, posted a picture of his family, and like on like the Instagram, he was commenting and said, you know, thank you to my family, because it is a sacrifice, right? Like, you know, there's a lot of careers that really sacrifice, you know, your time totally. You know, professional athlete is one, obviously. Doctors, nurses, you know, physicians, doctors of any kind. So whether that's like, you know, dentists, or all that is a tough, you know, time consuming job. Pastors, people don't talk about that, but they're pastors. If you're a full-time pastor, you know, time consuming job. So there are a lot of industries in the field. In life in general, it's probably very easy to hyper focus on one thing, which is probably easy to do, right? If all I have to do is focus on one thing, that makes my plate smaller, right? The more things I have to do, the greater my responsibility, the greater my stress or whatever, the more that I have to time manage or balance. It can become a lot on a day-to-day basis, especially if you have, you know, kids and you have this and you have that. However, if you choose to go down these paths and make these choices, I believe that you should just finish what you start, right? If you start it, you should finish it, period, point blank. And some people, you know, work, but I just think that's the easy way out. Like, I just think that just doesn't make you great. I think that actually just proves to your inability to balance, your inability to really be great, in my personal opinion. But that's just me. And this is coming from somebody who has their whole life had to balance. Like, I think that I'm a walking circus, right? My parents always raised me, specifically my mom. My mom has always worked in education, so she's always had like a closer look at what it, just being a black person in America in general. We always have to work twice as hard, and so my mom always pushed me to be twice as good, work twice as hard, to do twice, everything double. You always have to do double. But she taught me that balance was important, right? When it came, especially because I was always when I was especially a kid, they were taking me here, they were taking me there, this practice, this event, this recital, this tournament, this here. And I can only imagine, I was the only child. So Godspeed to everybody who had siblings and stuff like that, because I know it must have been hard. But as I got into high school, right, and I needed to I had to focus more on things that would help prepare me for college, right? She's like, all right, Jordan, don't just do one thing. Do it like this is a good time to really perfect or try and work on that aspect of balancing, right? So I played this sport. I actually played 3 sports, and I was in this organization, and I was a part of this group, and I would do this and I would do that, and then not only made me a very well-rounded person for college applications, the sole purpose of me doing all that, but also it made me a well-rounded person in general. It taught me how to multitask, how to have different responsibilities, because I would hold different roles in these different, I was captain on this team or co-captain on this team, or I was on this committee, or I was this dude that I this da 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 da. And so when you have all this stuff going on, it can be chaos, but if you have your stuff, it can be organized chaos. And life isn't always as easy as I'm making it sound. My life is often very, very chaotic. It's often not a lot of organized chaos, just a bunch of chaos. But when you sit down and look, and I'm like, but I know that I'm chasing my own greatness, right? Because I'm able to balance, my professional life, my social life, my personal life. And I mean, social life and personal life are probably close to the same thing, but there are different categories in which, groups of people and friends fall under, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a lot, right? And I believe that I'm great in my own way. I believe that everybody that I hang out with and associate with is great in their own way too. And that's because all of us balance. Right? We all have so much going on, and we're still just great people, great professionals, great, work, whatever, everything. We strive to be great at it. And so, I mean, I don't know. Is that the reason why some of us are not in the NBA or WNBA? No, I don't think so, because I just think that we pick and choose because I'm trying to see how can I relate it, right? Because when you're trying to be in the NBA, when you are in the NBA, you are in a small pool percentage of people, right? When you're in NFL, when you're in UFC, when you're in any professional sport, you are in a small pool of people who are the greatest at that sport. But I don't know. I just think that there are ways. I don't know. I just think that there's a balance to life. Let me put it like that. There's no cut and dry. There is no right or wrong way to live or to be. But I'll say this. If you make the choice to create a legacy outside of you and yourself, your own legacy that you created, I don't want to hear that you're chasing greatness if that part of you is lacking. All right? Because you're not great. You're average. And that's fine. You could be chasing average. I don't know why you would publicize that, but there is a way to not be great. But being greatness, there isn't one path to greatness, but there is a way to not be great, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense. It makes sense to me. So that was this week's episode, guys, because that whole clip just bothered me. I was just like, if you chasing legacy and greatness that bad, why even have the 7-month pregnant girlfriend? Why even have the daughter in Brazil? Why even put yourself in that situation? Why not just chase the legacy and greatness on its own, right? Why involve other people, other feelings, other, actual human beings? I mean, I don't understand it. But that's it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is your girl, Jordan, aka Jay, giving you the play-by-play each and every week. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.